Welcome to the UB Library's Zotero video series. This is the second video in the series, Organizing Your Zotero Library. My name is Allie Wood, and I'm one of the engineering librarians here at UB. This video includes a tour of the Zotero desktop app library, which we downloaded in the previous video, and goes over the various ways you can organize the items in your library using collections and sub-collections. I'll also cover adding notes and tags to items, and using the search feature. At the end, I'll also show how to use the built-in PDF reader. So let's go ahead and take a look at my Zotero library. You can see the library has three main sections, a pane on the left, one in the middle, and one over here on the right. The left pane is my collection or file structure. The middle pane is where my research items are. You can see there's columns for title, creator, year, and so on. And the right pane is where the metadata for my items will show up. So if I click on an item, I can see that this is populated with all of the information about that article. And this is the information that Zotero will use to create my citations later on. It also shows a preview of the attached PDF. If I scroll down, I can see that there. And also any notes or tags that I've added to the item will also show up down here. When you first open your Zotero desktop library, you probably just have a library over here, a trash, and maybe a few other collections on the left. The library, which is what we're on right now, holds all of your items, and it can be sorted in a couple different ways. I could sort it by title alphabetically if I click on this. See, now it's in an A to Z order. I could also sort it by year, date added, that sort of thing. If I want to sort it in a different way, I can right-click on one of these headers and add a column based on any of these options. So maybe I want to add a column on when I last accessed the item. I can click that, and now I have an accessed column right here. I'm going to get rid of that, doing the same process, right-click, and uncheck the one I added. But the library is pretty unwieldy. As you can see, I have stuff on all different types of topics showing up in here. There's not really any sorting by how I'd want to use the items. They're just all jumbled together. So to take care of that, you can create collections and sub-collections, which is what I have over here. I like to create a collection for each project that I'm working on, and then sub-collections based on the different components of that research. So you can see I've got a upper level collection for engineering education research guides, and then a couple sub-collections based on the different parts of that project that I was working on. To create a collection, you just click this folder with a plus up here in the top left corner, and then you can add a title for it. We'll go with invasive species as our example folder. And then you select where you want it to go. So if I click this drop down, if I have my library selected, this will show up as a top level collection. If I click any of these other options, it will make it a sub collection within this collection. But I want this to be a top level one, so I'll keep it on my library. Click create collection, and now it's over here. Like I said, if I want to create a sub collection, I click that folder icon again, give it a name, and then I'd want to make sure it's showing up under invasive species as where I want it to be created in. That will make it a subfolder of this folder. Once you have a collection, you can go ahead and start moving items into it from your library or from other folders. And to do that, you'll use drag and drop. So if I go back to my library, I can start dragging these items into my new folder if I want to. So just for example, maybe I want this item to be in there. I can click it, keep holding down my mouse, and drag it into my new folder. Great, if I go open that up, I'll see that it was moved over here. And this item is now in this collection. If you do that by accident and you end up wanting to remove this item, you just right-click on it. In our drop-down menu, go to Remove Item from Collection. Click OK, and that will take it back out. Go back to my library, because you can also add notes and tags to items in your library as another way to keep things organized. To add a note, I'm just going to click on the item I want to add a note to, right-click on it, select Add Note, and this will open up a blank note document for me to start typing into. Say this is a note. And if I click off of that, it will be saved, and I can access it again using this drop-down arrow on this item. You can open that back up. You can also highlight, change color, change font size, all that sort of stuff in this note pane. If I wanted to add a tag, I would click on the title of the item, and I can click the tag button over here, this little red tag icon, or scroll to the bottom of this pane and add tags. So this item actually came with some author supplied tags, so those are already populated here. But if I wanted to add my own, I could click this plus button and just start typing. And it will suggest tags based on ones that already exist in my Zotero library, but I can also add my own. So I'll type engineering in, and add that, click enter, and keep adding other ones. Let's see, preparedness. Great, and I can keep adding as many tags as I would like. And these can just help with facilitating finding items later on, add tags as they work through your workflow. Zotero is really flexible with letting you organize things however you want, however it works best for you. Zotero also has a search feature. So if I come up here to the upper right, I can see this little magnifying glass, and this is where I can search for items in my library or in a folder. And if I click the drop-down button, the small arrow right next to the magnifying glass, I can select what Zotero is actually going to search. So by default, it will search title, creator, and year fields. I can also tell it to search all fields and all tags, and then I can tell it to search everything. And everything is also going to search attached PDFs. So if you have one of those for an item, it will basically search the full text for you. So we'll keep it on title, creator, and year to start off. And if I type libguide in here and hit enter, it's now going to bring back all of the items in my library that have libguide in the title, creator, or year field. Now, if I change this to an everything search, you'll see we got way more results, and it's also highlighting those full text PDFs where the keyword libguide is likely showing up. So everything search is going to do a much broader search than just searching the title, creator, and year. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. So Zotero Library also has a built-in PDF reader, and this allows users to collect, read, and annotate full-text PDFs all in one place. You can also create notes from those annotations, which is really useful if you want to make sure you're pulling out quotes or making note of specific information that you want to include in an article. So we'll go back to the library, open that up, and we'll get rid of the search. So to open up the PDF reader, you first need to find an item that has an attached PDF. And so those are going to be items that have this little white and red icon next to them. You'll see most of my items do have that little icon, but not all of them. You're not always able to get full text PDFs for your items in Zotero, but oftentimes you are. So I'll go ahead and open one of these up, double click on it, and that is going to bring up the PDF for the article. You can see I can read the whole thing right here in the desktop app, which is super convenient. I can also use these icons up here to highlight the text, underline, make comments, draw, make boxes around things. It's pretty flexible. So just for an example, let's say I want to highlight this first sentence here. Can do that, add a highlight. I can add a note if I want to, put that here, add my comment. I could underline something. Let's do this sentence, and it will pop up. I can change the color if I want to even. Let's do another one. Okay, so basically you can make whichever annotations are useful to you. And then these will be saved when you close this out. So next time I go to open up this PDF, all of my annotations will be saved here. Now, if I go back to my library, if I want to make a note from those annotations, I'm going to go ahead and right-click on the item and select Add Note from Annotations from this dropdown. Now over here, I can see it's opened up that note pane again, and it's pulling out those sentences that I highlighted or underlined. It's pulled out that little sticky note that I made. And something I really like about this is that it also pulls out the in-text citation for you. So if you're going to be incorporating these quotes into a paper later on, you already know who to attribute them to. The in-text citation is right here for you to use. Okay, go back to our presentation. So that's all for this video. Please feel free to check out the rest of the videos in the series. And if you have any questions, you can contact me using that email on the video screen, or visit the Zotero Basics Guide, which is available through the UB Libraries website. Thank you.